All right. What's up, YouTube? Now, you see the title of this video, and you see the image that I have on the screen. Now, it's been a minute since I've uploaded some content, and I do have some things that I want to make videos about, especially when it comes to the election. I might make a video on that. Because I got a lot of people looking at stuff on the surface level, but I got another angle to it that most people really don't know about. But like I said, I haven't made any content in a minute, haven't made any YouTube videos in a minute. Just been doing other things, right? Doing other things in my life. But I had to make this video. I had to make a video on this, right? You see the title. So you might not know what I'm about to get into. And the image on the screen, you might not know what this is about. But I'm going to explain everything, right? So before I even get into the main topic of this video could potentially be very offensive. And I just want to let this warning be put out there, because I don't got time for people crashing out in the comment section. So you have been warned. If you get offended easily, especially if you are Japanese and you get offended easily, you probably don't want to watch this video. So you have been warned, so that you can escape being offended if you don't want to be offended. Because what I'm about to get into in this video will be offensive. It will be viewed as insensitive, and some may even think it's evil and wrong. But it doesn't matter what you think. The truth is the truth, right? But getting into the topic of this video, right? Now, this image on the screen that I have is an image that apparently was created because of a recent trend that's been going on in Japan, right? Where you have these black people on trains and stuff like that, dancing, and really they're kind of like bothering the locals on purpose to get clout. This social media clout thing is become a plague. Everyone does everything for clout. And it's just very annoying, right? And I do agree that, yeah, you don't go to someone's country and you do disrespectful things on, trains and stuff where people are trying to just get to their destination. They're just trying to get to their destination. They're just trying to get to wherever they're trying to go. They're trying to go home. They're trying to go to work, whatever. And people don't want to be irritated on the trains. So if you're dancing around on the train, and it's not just the dancing aspect, they're purposely trying to get reactions out of people, right? I understand people being irritated by that. But here's where the problem sets in. Because in this recent trend, of course, anytime it's black people doing something, there's always an extra layer, because it's always the racism behind it. And I find it very funny how the reaction to this, I don't really think that, like I said, completely is unwarranted, but the racism aspect is very telling to me, and I'll explain that later in the video. But these TikTok, it's mostly TikTok videos, right? And they're doing these dances on these trains, and it caused I guess Japan to make a advisory sign where they say, don't be disturbing people on the train and whatnot. And it had an image of a black person, right? And I don't see a problem with that. If that's who's mainly doing that type of stuff right now, then yeah, I don't see a problem with them showing that. that image. But then we get to this image right here that I have on the screen. Now, it's alleged that this was made by Japan. I see some people saying that it actually wasn't made by Japan, but I'm gonna explain why it doesn't matter if it was made by them or not. Because at the end of the day, the whole focal point of this video, the title of this video, the main topic I have still applies whether they made this or not. Whether it was Japan who made it, or whether it was, whether it was Japan who made it, or whether it was someone else, right? It still applies what I'm talking about in this video. But we have this image that is alleged made by Japan, and it's in response to these people dancing on the trains, right? These black people dancing on the trains, disturbing people. And as you see, we have a picture of 3 monkeys, a polar bear holding another polar bear, and a fox. Now, I'm going to explain why I'm not surprised if this is real. And the reason I wouldn't be surprised if it was real is because Japan is a very racist country, just in general, right? When it comes to the media that's been spread across the earth, when it comes to the negative propaganda that's been spread across the earth against black people, Japan is no different when it comes to the brainwashing that's been pushed across the earth. When it comes to the not only the worship of whiteness that's been pushed through the media, which is global, but also that what comes with that is the hatred of blackness, right? When it comes to the media apparatus that's been set up by the elites, I'll just say, it's a worship of whiteness that's been pushed. And then on top of that, what comes with that is a hatred of blackness. That goes hand in hand. So the same way these people, the Japanese, Asians in general who worship whiteness, because they do, Asians worship whiteness. The same way they worship whiteness is the same way, and that same way the media really infects the psychosis, the psyche to have them worship whiteness is the same way that in that same media is pushed to hate blackness, right? So they have been completely mentally colonized, really. Let's be real. So the same way, like I said, they worship whiteness, they hate blackness. So Japan is very anti-black, very racist country. And that's why I wouldn't be surprised if this was real, right? I wouldn't be. I would not be surprised if it was real. But I'm going to tell you why it doesn't matter if it's real or not. See, it doesn't matter because, like I said, in general, the country's racist anyway. So it wouldn't be surprised. And to be honest, the country is very racist. The country worships whiteness. And they have extreme self-hate. I mean, I need to make a separate video really on the self-hate of Asians, right? They really, Asians are down bad, bro. That's a whole nother video delving deeper into. But the focal point of this video really, as you see the title, is why Japan's birth rate is really falling. Why their country is really diminishing. And like I said in the beginning of this video, if you're very sensitive, you should have already clicked off. So be prepared to get offended for anyone who decided to remain. Because see, here's the thing, right? Like I said, it doesn't matter if this image is real or not. The thing is the reaction of people, and it's the reaction of everyone on the internet when it pertains to certain things like this. When you have black people doing things that would be deemed, not really kosher in public, on a train, dancing around and shit like that. Yeah, cool, right? That you shouldn't be doing, especially in another country. You don't know the culture. And they obviously don't really like that, right? But here's the thing with the reaction is because, like I said earlier, they worship whiteness in Japan. And the things that I feel like these black people are doing, I feel like if it was white people doing this in mass, I don't really think the reaction would be the same. And not just from, people in Japan, but people in general, like, the racists in America and shit, or just anywhere, who are saying, you go in the comment section of videos pertaining to this topic, they're saying usual suspects, all this dumb shit, right? But if it was white people, they wouldn't have that same stereotype of lumping all white people in there and pushing racist shit against them. So you see the double standard, right? You see the double standard. You see the double standard. You see how these people react to certain groups of people when it's a group they obviously have hate against and not, right? So you see the wickedness, you see the hatred, you see how anytime black people do something like this, all of a sudden it must be extrapolated to all black people. And this is why we don't like black people and all this other dumb shit, right? And we have stuff like this being created that I have on the screen, which whether the Japanese made it or not, it doesn't matter, because whoever did make it is only further showing the racism that, is engaged in with these people. Like, even if you got these black people on this train doing this stuff, is it really warranted to make a poster with some monkeys? Obviously, we know what you're trying to imply here, and they're disturbing the train. Do you really got to make that? No, you don't. But because of the hatred they have for so-called black people, that I know if white people was doing this on the train, disturbing the peace, I wonder if they would make racist posters of them. Probably not. And see, this is the problem here. This is the main focal point that needs to be addressed, is the double standard and the wickedness in what the wicked use to justify their wickedness and their hatred of black people, so-called black people, right? And see, this is why, Japan is falling the way it is. I'm going to explain why it's really falling. It goes into the judgment of the Most High. Why Japan's birth rate is in a dump. Why the population is aging and dying off. Why they are crumbling. The society is crumbling. Why Japan's really crumbling? It's not because all these studies of people writing the economy and the this and that and all of it. You look this up, why Japan's birth rate is falling, all the things going on in Japan. You're gonna find all types of links to all types of articles with these long ass paragraph after paragraphs of all these different stats about the economy and all. No. It's none of that. It's all a waste of time, all a waste of space on the internet. No, the real reason that Japan is crumbling when it comes to its birth rate, the reason it's crumbling with society, the depression, all of these things occurring in Japan, the reason these things are really happening is because of their hatred towards God's chosen people, the so-called blacks of the earth. This is why Japan's crumbling, because we are in the phase of the judgment of the Gentiles. We are entering that phase, right, where the world is really, it's about to get bad, right? America, and I got to make my separate video on this. America is pretty much done, right? The daughter of Babylon, as it is depicted in the Bible, it's going to be destroyed. And the image of the beast, see, and this goes into the Bible once more, because this is the real interpretation when it comes to the book of Revelation, when it says the world will worship the image of the beast. How I mentioned earlier how they worship whiteness in Japan, right? The image of the beast is really what it's referring to. It's talking about that fourth beast, which is Rome. It represents Rome, which is Edom, which is white people. So how it says the world will worship the image of the beast, right? In the book of Revelation, worship the image of the beast, right? That's talking about worshiping of whiteness. That's what it's talking about. It is no denying that is what that's what it is. And the world will worship the image of the beast. And likewise, the world hates God's people, God's chosen people. And this is why you see the hatred against so-called black people on the earth, and the wickedness that's waged against them. And you see the worship of whiteness, because it's that how all the world worship the image of the beast, because of the wonders the beast would do from the power the dragon gave them. The dragon is Satan, right? Satan gives the power to so-called white people, the high elites in the European nations, and all that. That's a whole nother video. So you see how that plays out. And the hatred that they have for black people, there's a judgment for that. There's a judgment for the hate that all of these Gentile nations have waged against so-called black people. So when you're looking at Japan crumbling, this is a part of their judgment. They are being, it is the beginning of their sorrows. How the Most High said he would laugh at the destruction of the wicked, the Gentile nations, when it's time for their judgment, when it's time for the cup to pass through to them. And we are in the beginning phase of that. Asia is going to be decimated. It's going to be judged for their worship of the image of the beast and their hatred of black people, right? So-called black people. And this really, when I saw this and I saw the black people dancing on the train, and yeah, I'm not justifying that goofiness at all, but to see the racism aspect, it just never fails, right? Because if it was a white people, that same thing wouldn't be there. Because like I said, they worship whiteness in Japan. So that same racist angle would not be there. You know, they worship them, some white people. They worship whiteness and they hate themselves. And they hate themselves, really. Like I said, that's a whole nother video. They hate themselves and they hate God's chosen people, the so-called black people, right? And it's just no surprise why you get this reaction you get, because this is the wicked. This is how the wicked move. They have a hatred of God's people. This is how the wicked operate. And this is why Japan is crumbling. This is why the society is crumbling. Now, you see right now, I have an image on the screen that just popped up, a different image of a area that's been destroyed. That is the aftermath of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I don't know which one exactly this picture is. I think it might be Hiroshima. I'm not sure. But it's the aftermath of one of those areas that was bombed in the war, in World War II. And I find it funny how the same people that bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki twice, they bombed Japan twice. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they bombed it twice with nukes, killed tons of people, caused generations of suffering with radiation poisoning, causing all types of problems, genetic defects and all that. And they worship whiteness in this current time. Now, the Japanese used to have honor and all that and dignity and pride in themselves. They wasn't moving away. They moving now with that hatred of, that hatred, and all of that worship of whiteness at a certain time. They weren't always like this. And this, this really happened really when it comes to them being, toppled and whatnot and destroyed, and basically have gotten to the point to where they have adopted Western standards and all that. So they basically have Stockholm syndrome. We'll just say that to keep it short, right? They worship those who have destroyed them, right? You get nuked twice, but then end up worshiping whiteness later on. But it just shows you how deep psychology is in the brainwashing that occurred with them. And it's crazy how the same people that did this, what you see on the screen twice, today they worship whiteness. They worship whiteness to the highest degree, and they have a hatred of blackness. Of course, that comes with that. And it's crazy to me how people is wondering why their country is in the condition it's in, why the birth rates is crumbling. Why you don't really see a lot of this on, of course, in America or anywhere. So you're not really going to see all that in the news. But you really look into this. Japan is crumbling, man. They're not able to feel. They're not able to replace their jobs and stuff and replace. They're not in a position of replacement, man, because everything's crumbling. But this is the judgment of the Most High. And this, what I saw with this train incident, it just kind of just really just had me pondering on that of why they in the situation they're in right now. But that's all I gotta say for this video. I'm not sure what my next video is gonna be. I'm trying to think of a topic. It might be on the election because I have some things to some information to present that a lot of people probably wouldn't really wouldn't know about, right? Some information that's actually gonna show what's to come. But like I said, that's all I gotta say for this video. I'm out.